Good Omens Season 3 is out on Amazon Prime, technically speaking, because it is just one longer episode, 90 minutes runtime. This is the fantasy comedy show based on the novel written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, starring David Tennant and Michael Sheen. So you might ask, why just one episode? Well, we have to go a little bit back to answer that. The first season of Good Omens came out in 2019. It had 6 episodes adapting the novel quite directly. Everyone assumed that was it. Then it was made known that 2 more seasons were coming because Neil Gaiman claimed that he and Pratchett had ideas for follow-up books that they sadly never got around to writing because of the Pratchett's untimely death. Is it true? We can only speculate. In any case, Gaiman wrote and produced the second season with another 6 episodes. That came out in 2023. This was certainly weirder and a bit bogged down by a weird lesbian romance subplot, but I thought it was still a very enjoyable watch, carried mostly by the performances of the 2 leads. It ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, and then when the first season was early in production in 2024, New York Times published an article detailing a whole list of sexual abuse allegations against Neil Gaiman. The article was shocking. I read it. I was appalled, and based on the testimonies and Gaiman's own sort of reaction, I am sadly inclined to believe it's true, which is an extremely depressing example of a beloved author turning out to be an absolute monster in real life. Amazon was put in an obviously difficult position with Good Omens, as was Netflix with Sandman. In that case, they decided to just end after 2 seasons. What ended up happening here is Gaiman sort of distanced himself from the project. He stepped out. He said he would have no producer credit, but he still wanted to show the audience some sort of conclusion, for the sake of the fans. And so as a kind of weird compromise, Amazon produced this one single longer episode to wrap things up. The story picks up some time after the conclusion of the previous season. Aziraphale is now running things in heaven, and he is tasked with preparing the planned second coming of Jesus to Earth. But when Jesus himself disappears, gets lost on our planet, and so does the Book of Life, Aziraphale has to find his old friend Crowley, who is now a depressed and lonely ex-demon gambling away his life in London, so that together they can figure out what's going on, who's doing it, and sort of save the universe again. A bit of a mixed bag, this one, but I think on the positive side. On the one hand, I think the main plot is clunky, and there's definitely a problem coming from visibly condensing the storyline to just one episode. The whole Heaven traitor subplot, as well as the Jesus subplot, they both seem half-baked, which is a problem because they really are the 2 most important things going on. I think production-wise, it also seems cheap and cramped. You can kind of get away with the heaven and hell scenes as they take place in same-looking rooms, but having everything on Earth happen on the same tiny fake Soho street is an outrageous contrivance. That makes the episode feel like a stage play more than an epic show. I'm not a fan of the performances of the other angels and demons, and I think that Tanya Moody as God is completely unconvincing. She lacks the gravitas, particularly put against Toby Jones as Satan. However, I still say that the 2 central characters are awesome. Both Tennant and Sheen are excellent in the roles, and they have unbelievable chemistry. Watching them together never gets old. I also do like, on reflection, how in the end their arc is kind of beautiful and poetic, because they start the first season as 2 guys who are willing to interfere with an apocalypse and save Earth, not for the sake of humanity or even individual humans, but because they themselves have grown to enjoy Earth so much. They are comfortable in their lives. Whereas they end the finale of this entire show with, slight spoilers, willing to sacrifice their own existence so that humanity may try again without the baggage of religion. And their final scenes together, especially the one in the bookshop, were really quite lovely. And I do like the message of living for yourself, not for an imagined afterlife. So it's not perfect. It's not even great, if I'm being honest. But if, like me, you've grown to like the central pair of characters, it is certainly worth your time. to see their ending, even if it is slightly watered down by the other subplots.